The question of where humans come from has intrigued humanity throughout history. Science tells us that humans evolved over millions of years from simpler life forms. The most well-known theory, proposed by Charles Darwin, explains that species change over time through natural selection, the survival of the fittest, and random genetic mutations. According to this theory, humans share a common ancestor with primates and gradually developed our unique traits through evolutionary processes. On the other hand, the Quran, the holy book of Islam, offers a different yet profound narrative about the origin of human beings. It states that humans were created by God from clay, a humble substance taken from the earth. The Quran further explains that human development happens in stages inside the mother's womb. At first, a drop of fluid is formed, which then becomes a clot that clings and later transforms into a lump of flesh, before eventually emerging into the world. At first, these accounts may seem contradictory, one rooted in modern science, the other in divine revelation. But when examined carefully, we find intriguing parallels between the Quran's descriptions and scientific observations, especially in embryology, the study of how a human develops before birth. This is not about disproving one view in favor of the other. Rather, it is about opening a respectful dialogue between faith and science, recognizing that both can shed light on different aspects of our existence. Science answers the question of how we came to be, while religion provides insight into why we exist and what our purpose might be. The Quranic verses describing human creation are rich with symbolism and meaning. For example, the Quran says, "We created man from sounding clay, from black mud molded into shape." Quran 15:26. This portrays human beings as connected to the earth, reminding us of our physical origins and our fragile yet purposeful nature. More remarkably, the Quran outlines the process of fetal development in stages. We placed him as a drop in a firm lodging. Then we made the drop into a clinging clot, then into a lump of flesh. Then we formed the bones and clothed the bones with flesh. Then we brought him forth as another creation. Quran 23:13-14. The terms used in Arabic, nutfa, drop, alaka, clinging clot, and mudka, chewed like lump, are not only poetic but correspond closely with the phases scientists recognize in embryology. The initial drop refers to the fertilized egg, the clinging clot to the embryo attaching to the uterine wall, and the lump to the developing somites that resemble a chewed substance. Scientists today marvel at how this ancient text aligns with modern embryological discoveries. The Quran invites reflection and wonder, encouraging us to see signs of divine wisdom in the natural world and in our own bodies. Complementing the Quranic verses, the sayings of Prophet Muhammad, known as hadiths, provide even more detail about the stages of human development in the womb. These narrations were recorded over 1,400 years ago, at a time when medical knowledge was limited and observations of fetal development were nearly impossible. One famous hadith states, "Each of you is created in your mother's womb for 40 days as a drop of fluid, then for 40 days as a clot, then for 40 days as a lump of flesh. Then the angel is sent and breathes the soul into him." This clearly describes a three-stage development process lasting roughly 120 days, followed by the moment the soul enters the fetus. This hadith remarkably corresponds with modern embryology, which identifies critical developmental milestones around this timeline. By the end of the first trimester, the fetus's organs start functioning, limbs form, and recognizable human features appear. Moreover, the hadith indicates that the soul, the essence of life and consciousness, is breathed into the body at this stage. This spiritual dimension is beyond what science can measure, but is deeply meaningful in Islam. It asserts that humans are not mere physical bodies, but beings with spiritual significance and moral responsibility. Another hadith mentions the formation of senses, such as hearing and sight, beginning around 42 days after conception, which also matches current scientific understanding of fetal sensory development. What makes these descriptions extraordinary is their accuracy in a historical context. At the time, no one had access to microscopes or detailed medical knowledge. These insights, revealed through divine guidance, demonstrate the depth of wisdom contained in Islamic scripture. From a scientific perspective, The stages described align closely with the biological processes. The fertilized egg, zygote, develops into a blastocyst and implants in the uterine lining, then forms a cluster of cells, embryo, that develops somites, small segments that later form bones and muscles, and finally organs and flesh develop. These combined scientific and spiritual descriptions invite us to consider that the human being is a complex union of body and soul, created with intention and care. This view provides a foundation for Islamic ethics, human dignity, and the sanctity of life. The importance of these hadiths lies not just in their potential scientific parallels, but in what they imply about the human journey. They describe a process guided not only by biology, but by divine order and purpose. The moment of the soul entering the body is especially significant in Islamic thought. It marks the point at which the fetus becomes a fully living soul, deserving of moral and legal consideration. This moment, occurring after 120 days, also forms the basis for certain Islamic rulings on ethical issues like abortion, underlining the seriousness of taking life and emphasizing the sanctity of every human being. In this light, the hadiths do more than describe biology. They narrate a sacred process, one that links every human being to the divine act of creation, to the unseen world of angels, and to the soul's eternal journey. It is a reminder that before we ever opened our eyes to the world, we were part of something greater, known, formed, and chosen by God. Charles Darwin's theory of evolution revolutionized biology by explaining how life changes over time through natural selection. According to this theory, humans evolved from common ancestors shared with other primates, gradually developing unique traits through adaptations. This scientific explanation poses challenging questions for religious traditions, including Islam. How does the Quran's account of creation fit with the evidence for evolution? Are these views necessarily incompatible? Islamic scholars have historically debated this question. While acknowledging the power of evolutionary mechanisms within species, microevolution, many scholars reject the idea that humans evolved directly from animals, macroevolution, particularly because Islam teaches that the human soul is a unique divine gift. The Quran emphasizes the special status of human beings. We created man in the best of forms, Quran 95:4. Humans are not merely physical beings, but have consciousness, reason, morality, and a soul breathed in by God, Quran 32:9. In Islamic belief, the first human, Adam, was created uniquely and directly by God, not through a gradual evolutionary process. This view holds that the soul cannot emerge from purely physical processes and that humanity's moral and spiritual nature distinguishes us fundamentally from animals. However, some contemporary Muslim thinkers suggest that science and religion address different questions. Science explains how life develops and changes biologically, while religion explains why life exists, offering purpose, meaning, and moral guidance. From this perspective, the Quran's descriptions focus on spiritual truths rather than scientific detail. Its verses inspire reflection on God's creative power and the sanctity of life, without necessarily conflicting with scientific explanations about biological processes. The Quran's embryological stages can be seen as symbolic reflections of deeper realities rather than literal scientific statements. This allows for a harmonious view where scientific discoveries about evolution and embryology enrich rather than diminish faith. Importantly, there is no direct verse in the Quran that denies the possibility of evolutionary processes in the development of non-human life. The main theological issue remains the origin of man, particularly the soul. This is where the line is often drawn in Islamic theology, that no matter how the physical form may have developed, the soul's origin is divine and cannot be reduced to materialism. This opens a potential middle path for Muslim thinkers, one in which the body may follow biological processes, but the soul is specially created and given by God. In this way, Islam maintains the dignity and spiritual status of human beings without rejecting scientific inquiry. It's also worth noting that Darwin's own views evolved over time. While his theory focused on natural processes, he remained open to the mystery of life's origin. Even today, science has not fully explained how consciousness emerged or what separates humans from other creatures on a metaphysical level. The debate continues, not as a conflict between science and religion, but as a deeper exploration of what it means to be human. By recognizing the strengths and limitations of both domains, we are invited to think critically, believe deeply, and remain humble before the vastness of life. The apparent tension between the scientific theory of evolution and the Quran's account of human creation reflects a broader question. Can science and faith coexist peacefully and meaningfully? Science excels at explaining natural phenomena, revealing mechanisms and facts about the physical world. It uncovers the intricate details of DNA, cells, fossils, and the vast history of life on Earth. But science remains silent on questions of ultimate purpose, morality, and the existence of the soul. Religion, on the other hand, addresses these deeper questions. It offers a framework for understanding why we exist, what our purpose is, and how we should live. The Quran encourages believers to reflect on the signs of God in nature and in themselves, inviting a journey of both external discovery and internal realization. The Quran's detailed descriptions of embryonic development are one such sign, showing that human life is precious, deliberate, and sacred. This knowledge calls us to humility and gratitude, reminding us that we are connected to something greater than ourselves. Many Muslims find that their faith and scientific understanding enrich each other. Recognizing the Quran's spiritual truths alongside scientific knowledge deepens their appreciation of both. This approach also respects the complexity of human experience, acknowledging the body's biological origins and the soul's divine spark. It recognizes that humans are more than the sum of their parts. We are moral agents with the capacity for love, creativity, and worship. Objections remain, of course. Some question whether the Quran's embryological descriptions are truly miraculous or whether they reflect common knowledge of the time. Others challenge the idea that religion should influence scientific thought. These debates are part of a long and ongoing conversation between science and spirituality. What matters most is an open heart and mind, willing to explore both faith and reason with sincerity. Beyond biology and theology, these conversations help us rediscover the sacredness of life. They encourage us to treat one another with dignity, protect the vulnerable, and appreciate the wonder of our existence. In a world often driven by material gain, remembering that we are both created from dust and destined for the divine brings balance and purpose to our lives. Whether through the lens of a microscope or the verses of a sacred book, the journey of human life is awe-inspiring. Science may show us how a cell divides or a fetus grows, but it is faith that gives that process meaning. A reason to live ethically, to love deeply, and to walk humbly with the awareness that we are part of a grander design. In the end, the Quran offers a timeless invitation. Do they not reflect upon themselves? God created the heavens and the earth and everything between them for a purpose and for an appointed time. Quran 38. We are not accidents. We are reflections of divine wisdom, walking miracles born from both clay and light. And now, as we reach the end of this profound journey through the verses of the Quran and the revelations of modern science, one truth rises above all others. This book, revealed over 1,400 years ago, speaks with the voice of timeless knowledge. It described the stages of embryonic development. Long before microscopes existed, it spoke of the origins of the universe. Long before telescopes pierced the cosmos, it mapped the seas and the skies, the iron and the stars, the soul and the self. Not in metaphor, but in mathematical, biological, and astronomical precision. What are the chances? Could a man who could neither read nor write, living in the 7th century desert, have produced a book that continues to align perfectly with discoveries made centuries later? Some will say it's coincidence. Others will call it a miracle. But the truth calls each of us to look within. Because this isn't just about science, it's about meaning, it's about purpose, it's about a message from the Creator to His creation. You've just seen the verses, you've heard the evidence, and now the decision is yours. Will you ignore it, or will you explore it deeper? If this video opened your eyes even just a little, then don't scroll past. Tap the like button to let us know you value content like this. Hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell. We're just getting started. Leave a comment below with your thoughts. Your perspective matters. Whether you're a believer, a skeptic, or still searching. And most importantly, share this video with someone you care about. A friend, a parent, a classmate. Someone who's been asking the same questions about life, science, and truth. Because maybe, just maybe, this is the video that opens their heart. Let this not be the end, but the beginning of a deeper journey. Keep questioning, keep learning, keep seeking the truth. Until next time, stay awakened, stay humble, and may peace be upon you, wherever you are in the world.